Let me tell you my story.
My skin is always like this.
Let's talk about sex and put an end to fossil fuel exploitation to prevent environmental catastrophe.
Balinese culture is an identity for Balinese people. Balinese culture is about harmony and community. Balinese culture is an heritage culture that been being practiced from generation to generation. Balinese culture is a custom. Balinese culture is about the rules that we should obey. When we talk about Balinese culture, we always come back to the ceremonies, rules, and duties. Today, I'm Indah Antari. I'm Indah Antari. I'm going to take you to the journey of this beautiful culture through women's eyes. Balinese women are known as beautiful, strong, a loving ibu and a good mother, a really hard worker, and obedient. Yet, it's still really hard for Balinese women to find or claim or to voice out their opinions in their family or community. Whether they're young, adults, old, or married, or already been married for years, it's still really hard for them because the custom state that women should be more reserved. Let me tell you my story. One of my favorite memories is when I was 5 years old. Almost every day around 5 p.m., I will go down to the river where the vortex is right now. Almost every evening, I would tag along with all of my friends, with my brother being carried on my back. Everything was equal and happy. All of us was just jump to the river with nothing but being naked. Nobody cared, because all of us were a child. And then it happened. At the age of 7, I took my first lesson in learning Balinese dance. I learned how to make my own offerings. As I reached grade 3, my family moved back to the main village in Sibangkajo, where my big family is still living until now. That was when I really started to bound to the rules of being a young Balinese girl who have the higher caste, which is Ksatria, one of the higher castes in Bali. I was 15 years old, a typical young Balinese girl who attended the local school. In 2013, I attended Green School for the first time. Like many other students here, Green School taught me a lot about the new things that I never exposed to in the local school or learned to. Green School changed my perspective on so many things. One of the examples is about women's rights and position in the social life and community. V-Day or Violence Day Against Women that Green School always been celebrated for the past 4 years is one of the great examples that really taught me a lot about women's rights. I remember when I went to my friend's house and I saw her uncle coming back home looking drunk, ordered his wife, who was taking care of their baby, to serve him. Without complaining, the wife did what her husband told her what to do. As I remember that, it gave me a thought. What will my future as a good woman look like? The conversation about what kind of future I want for myself come to me. It's made me think about it over and over again. It was a really hard choice for me to decide to continue with my topic as for my Greenstone. I came from and living with the culture. With the culture that I love since I was still in the womb, when my family made my first ceremony in order to bless me and hoping I would born healthy, or when I touched the ground on my 3rd month ceremony. The fear about myself, being viewed as a young girl who attended an international school, and after 3 years of learning in the school, I came back as a rebel who questioned my own culture that I've been living since my entire life. It's made me feel really hesitant to take this topic as my Greenstone. But after receiving all the great support that came from my mentors, I'm starting to gain more confidence to take this topic. I'm a young Balinese girl who is still serving the families members during the ceremony, serve the banjar or the community that I'm in. But at the same time, I'm also a young girl who have more opportunities to learn more about the world in a really different ways and have the courage to voice my opinion like what I'm doing today through my Greenstone. It's make me feel like I have two completely different parts within myself. Sometimes, and I don't want to lose any of them, sometimes it's made me feel like I'm a piece of puzzle that doesn't fit anywhere. When we talk about women in Bali, there are a lot of layers that surrounds the issues. It's not just about how women cannot get their rights or freedom. It's more than that. All these issues are linked to the culture or custom that's been going on from generation to generation. The old concept that most people in Bali still hold tightly, including the women themselves. My project for my Greenstone is to interview Balinese people regarding this topic. I put all the people that I interview into a certain group. And here is the list of the questions that I asked during my interviews. After I finish with all of my interviews, I try to find the main points from each answer that they gave. And I found a really interesting patterns from each group that I interview. As you can see on the slide now, each group have a really different kind of interpretation for the same question that I asked. It's really fascinating for me to see how different perspectives from each group. Even in one group, there's a different interpretation that's totally the opposite from each other's points of view. In Bali, the gender bias towards male and female is still applied heavily within the culture. Like many other cultures, in Balinese culture, people still believe that having a son is really important. When I interviewed one of recently married women regarding this topic, she mentioned that before she never have the feeling of or don't really care whether she will have a boy or a girl. But after she got married, the feeling of wanting to have a boy as her children starting to appear. It's like an instinct, she said. Now, let's look at the reason. When I brought up the question, what do you think that's still unfair to women, or what do you want to change, if you can? Most of the answer is about the inheritance system within the culture. Women never get their rights for inheritance, whether it's land or money or other physical heirloom. As most families believe, the son of the family will take care of the family in the future and will continue the generation of the family. If within the family there's no boy, people will call it Pegat Sentano, which means Pegat means break or end, and Sentano means wealth. When this happens within the family, they will be doing a ceremony that we call Nyantano, where the family will adopt a boy to their family through marriage. It's where the man will go to the woman's house, and all the family inheritance will automatically go to him. And he will be the new owner of the compound once the father of the compound passes away. Even Indonesian national law also states the inheritance of the family will go to the husband. The only way for women to keep their family's wealth is to not get married. In Bali, the caste system is still applied heavily in every part of the culture, and marriage is one of them. In some cases, when women they came from, when women they came from the higher caste married to the lower caste, most of the time the family will exclude her right away from the family. While on the other side, when the woman that came from the lower caste married to the higher caste, most of the time she will get mistreated because the family that she married into cannot accept her easily. Other way, most of the time, women will get mistreated. When I interviewed a young Balinese girl who is in college or older than me, the thought about being separate from their family is already gave them enough fear. Yet, this old idea about how the caste system that they are in since they were born gives them another fear when it comes to marriage. Every part of Bali have different flexibility of culture. For example, Badung and Buleleng. There's a huge difference of flexibility within these two areas of Bali. There's a lot of factors that made this difference. One of the cause is most of the people in Buleleng don't really stay in their hometown. Most of them will move or live in the big cities in Bali, which is Badung or Denpasar. As they rarely stay in their hometown, this affects the culture over time. People getting more flexible regarding the culture. For example, attending the ceremonies in the banjar or temple. If they cannot go to the ceremony, they can replace their absence by paying a certain amount of money to the community. While in Badung, the traditional culture is still rigid. Most people still bound themselves to the traditional culture. This affects women in their own ways. Some already get their freedoms, while some is trying to manage their responsibilities and career. What does all of this mean? Does that mean I need to escape from my own culture or just accept it? However, I'm not standing up here just to criticize my own culture. I'm here to voice out my opinions and other people who have the same opinion as I do. When I did my interviews, I realized something about my place, about myself, that I'm not just a piece of puzzle that need to be fit in one place. I'm a living puzzle who will keep changing and evolving, including everything and everyone around me. We, human, cannot just stay in one shape or place. We learn and change to be a better one. Before, I always have this thought that I'm the only one who feel the pressure about my own culture. However, as I interviewed more people, I started to realize that I'm not the only one. I learned about a lot of things, about how some people really cherish the beauty of Balinese culture, and yet still manage to get their freedoms, or how some people have the same feeling as I do before. I learned about all of this through communication. Some people that I interview also gave me more understanding about my own culture in different and new perspective. My conclusion for today is, I don't have any conclusion. I don't know what is my conclusion is. There is still a really long way for me and my generation to go. Because everyone who is in this room must have the same opinion as I do, as all the Balinese people do. Nobody wants to see this beautiful culture to disappear in the future. However, I have a message that I can share with all of you today. Be brave. Be wonderful. Have a courage to ask, to change, to sacrifice, even though it's something that you really cherish the most. Have a courage to start the conversation and try to understand it with an open mind and heart. Women in Bali, or everyone in this room, or everyone in this world, will get their rights if there is an open and honest communication and understanding. Be brave, be wonderful, be wonder girls. Thank you.